Well, hey, it's 5 p.m. on Wednesday, and I want to welcome you to this edition of the Whole Care Community Check-in, which is going to be, kind of the last edition because things are changing here, and we're going to change with them and adjust some of what we're doing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. But the point of these times has been to remind you to pursue everything God has created you to be, and He's given you a spirit, but He's also given you a body. He's given you a mind. He's given you important relationships and purpose in life, and those are things that we have to press into even in these seasons where life is just anything but normal. And I'm joined, as always, with my wife, Becky, and I have a question for you. As we're kind of winding down with this specific event that we do, I'm curious, just what has God been teaching you? This is going on month 3 of this whole quarantine thing, and we started doing this back in March. And I'm curious, just in this season, is there anything that at this point, and it's okay if it's not crystal clear, but that God has seemed to be leading you towards?
Thank you for asking me, and thank you for including me in these check-ins. I think the biggest thing as I'm looking past over the past few months is appreciating and wanting to acknowledge that I believe God is calling me to a certain type of slowing down. So the one thing that this time has afforded me is just a new lease on how to be a little bit more still or find some solitude. And I also have noticed in my relationships and with the people I live with how that slowing helps, as well as just having that kind of time where what fills the silence, what fills those spaces, and honoring that each person, myself included in our family, do things a little bit differently. And so that's been something that has been a sweetness that I will take with me from this time moving forward and continue to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about for you, since you asked me?
Yeah, that's fair. And I was thinking about this a lot today. I think the biggest shift for me during this time, or the thing that God's impressed upon me, is that really when it comes to life, and especially the life that He has for us, it is not about control. It is about purpose and faith. And those things are very, very different. And one of the things that I've sensed Him saying again and again to me, but also as a leader, things that He said to me about the people that we're leading here at Pulpit Rock and just people I'm interacting with every day, is pay attention to what is frustrating people. Pay attention to what is making you frustrated and making you angry. And I've noticed so often in my life, the things that make me really angry, really frustrated, is when I feel a lack of control. And it is so challenging to have a God who reminds me again and again to press into faith. And what He has for me is not control, but what He has for me is purpose, a purposeful life, and a life of faith. And,
so good.
And I think it's been, kind of an unwelcome lesson in that. None of us love this season, but it has been one of those lessons that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and certainly one that He is probably not done teaching me. I want to ask you about a recommendation, because somebody sent something to you. You've been doing this blessing every time we have the Whole Care Community Check-in. And they sent something to you specifically connected to that, right?
Yes. Our recommendation, if you just would like to enter into a time of worship in your car or as you're going about your day, or maybe you're making dinner right now, look up on YouTube Hawaii Blessing. Hawaii Blessing, right?
Yes.
And
Blessing.
it's 25 different worship leaders from Hawaii in this case, and they are leading a worship song virtually at the same time. Somehow they put all the music together. They're all singing, but it's the same song in the same key, and somehow they have synthesized it. And it's just a precious visual watching it, which is why you can play it on YouTube, but also watch it. And it just made me think of us and how, we're doing so many things together, but separately. So whether you're washing dishes, or whether you are comforting a sick child, or whether you are calling your mom, or whether you are in your garden, there are other people doing those same mundane tasks with you, but also worshiping and praying. And it's a beautiful picture of the body at work, even when we're not within four walls.
And the lyrics are based off of the blessing that comes out of Numbers. The oldest piece of scripture that
Yes.
we've ever found is an old ancient Hebrew blessing that you've been praying over us. Would you do that today? And then there's all sorts of things I want to talk about in terms of announcements and that sort of
I
thing.
would be glad to, but trust me, the video's much better of the song. I won't sing it for you today. But may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you, be gracious unto you, and leave you peace now and forever, to your children and their children beyond, for all generations. Amen.
Amen. Now, I mentioned a few times that things are transitioning here, and that means a handful of things for us. One of the things that is going to transition is in a couple weeks on June 7th, we're going to start seeing each other again in some form, and we're still working out those details. I'm going to email everyone out this week just some of how that will look and how we are going to engage and worship together. The student ministry, kids ministry is also continuing to engage. They won't start gathering again on June 7th, but they will continue to do their online stuff. And of course, all of the stuff that we do is going to continue to be live streamed. We're going to take this whole care community check-in that we've been doing kind of since the beginning of the stay-at-home order, and we are going to merge it with something else that we've been doing for about a year. We have this podcast called Welcome to the Table, and we are going to take those two things and we're going to kind of mash them together, and Wednesday night in the same time slot is going to be a Welcome to the Table video podcast, and then the audio for that will be up on all the different platforms that we have the next day. And we're going to start that on June 10th. And we're really excited. We've been working on this. We were working on this before the quarantine, just a topic on change. And there are some things that have changed very quickly in our world. Like even if you look at the last 2 decades, there's been enormous change in our world. And sometimes as believers and as the church, we're a little bit slow to catch up to that change. And so we wanted to do a special season just focused on the issue of change. And then the coronavirus thing hit. And now we're all looking at, well, what is going to change long term after all of these stay-at-home orders? And so we thought it would be a great time to just take the month of June and for those last 4 Wednesdays in the month of June to focus on this question of what are some things that have changed and they're probably never going back to the way that they were. And so we might touch on the coronavirus stuff, but there's a few other topics that we wanted to talk about even before this hit that are still really relevant for us in our journey with God. And so I hope you'll tune into that in June. And like I said, it'll be a video version here, and then it'll be audio posted on all the different formats that we podcast on. And you also have noticed we're in a new location. This is a location on our property where we have all this stuff set up so that we can keep doing that. And that is our intent, to continue with the live stream with Sunday worship, but also to continue with live streaming the video podcast and all that sort of stuff. So I'm excited about the next step with this, and it's going to allow us to tackle some content issues that we've never really been able to do justice to on a Sunday morning. So tune in June 10th for that special edition of Welcome to the Table, and then the next 4 Wednesdays after that. And then after that, who knows? We'll just see. We never know what's going to come next, obviously. The main thing, though, and this is the legacy, hopefully, of this season, is that you are awakened to everything that God has created you to be. And our desire and our prayer for you is to press in to all of that stuff. Thanks for joining us during these times. I really love you, people.